And now we're going to talk about the top 10 free agents entering the 2022 free agency class. Now there are some big name free agents. We have Davante Adams hitting free agency this year. That might be the best non-quarterback I've ever seen hit free agency since the first edition of the show. So that's incredible. And not only that, but you have multiple big name wide receivers hitting free agency, offensive linemen. I mean, this is such an interesting free agency class. Not good when it comes to quarterbacks, which is why we're going to see some big blockbuster quarterback trades this offseason. Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. These are some names to watch out for that could be traded. We're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo either traded or cut. He's not going to go back with the 49ers. So we're going to see a lot of quarterbacks kind of go around. It'll be quarterback dominoes when it comes to trades. Not great ones when it comes to the quarterback free agency class. I believe right now Marcus Mariota is probably the best one. But we're going to take a look at the top 10 free agents, in my opinion, and landing spots for them. Starting off with Jesse Bates. Now, Jesse Bates coming off of a Super Bowl. I believe he did get an interception on the Super Bowl as well. Jesse Bates, my favorite safety right now, and I believe he's only 25. He's going to be entering this upcoming free agency class. Bengals are not going to let Jesse Bates go. I just don't believe it's going to happen. Jesse Bates is a player who needs to stay on their defense because that secondary needs all the help they can get, and losing a talented player like Bates would be a big loss on their defense. Him playing alongside Von Bell has been a very solid safety duo as well, and they're going to be good for some time to go, for some time to come. Jesse Bates should not want to leave the Bengals organization. If he does, he'll likely go to place somewhere in maybe a ring chase. Patriots is always a good spot for defensive players to go. On top of that, he can go to the Chiefs as well. Chiefs do need help on their secondary, and we saw that secondary for the Chiefs. It was one of the worst in football, and arguably the biggest reason why they did not make the Super Bowl this year was because of that secondary on the Chiefs team. But yeah, Bates should 100% stay with the Bengals. I mean, why would you want to leave a team that is going to be even better next year than they were this year? And they made the Super Bowl this year. So they're going to be even better next year. There's no reason why Bates would want to leave. On top of that, Carlton Davis. Now, Carlton Davis is another player who I have in my top 10. There's a big market for Carlton Davis right now because he's the second best corner entering this free agency class. On top of that, he's the youngest guy, meaning there's going to be a Carlton Davis sweepstakes among the NFL because you want these young corners to help your team rebuild, to help your team going forward. Now, I don't believe the Buccaneers are going to let Carlton Davis go. Carlton Davis, cornerback for the Bucs, has been solid when healthy. Now, he has suffered with a lot of injuries, which is going to kind of cut his contract down a little bit, but I don't believe he should want to leave the Buccaneers team, as even though Tom Brady's gone, they could just bring in someone in free agency, and they're still going to probably win their division next year from how weak that division looks right now. So I believe Carlton Davis should want to stick with the Buccaneers team. If not, he can go and ring chase, go somewhere like the Bengals or Chargers, some team that could definitely respect him, pay him a lot of money, that has a lot of cap space, and go be their starting corner. He should go to play with the Bengals. Oh man, that'd be so good to see. Bengals are just all young players. Everybody on the team seems to be under the age of 28, and yet they make a Super Bowl. They're completely ruining the theory about veteran players is important because they're the best under pressure. Well, the Bengals just completely ruined that theory. As Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks this last season under pressure, and led his team to a Super Bowl. Jamar Chase, one of the best, again, one of the best wide receivers this last year, and he was on his rookie season. So they're completely bashing that entire theory. And Carlton Davis can come there and be another young player on their team. I'd like to see my Vikings to try to join those sweepstakes. We don't have much cap space though. And then on top of that, Orlando Brown. So Chiefs should not let Orlando Brown go. One of the best free agent signings of the 2021 free agency class was the Chiefs bringing in Orlando Brown. They were arguably the worst offensive line in the 2020 season. And in this last offseason, bringing in Orlando Brown and bringing in Creed Humphrey completely changed that offensive line and was a huge, huge difference maker for them this last season. While they didn't make the Super Bowl, and that mostly is due to defense, it was good to see Patrick Mahomes get a lot more time inside the pocket, and Orlando Brown was a big key maker on that offensive line for them, and they should not let him go. Chiefs, I believe, have around $3 million of cap space, so this would put them over the cap if they do bring Orlando Brown back, but I believe it is worth it. If he does go somewhere else, he can get paid. If the Chiefs don't pay Orlando Brown, he'll go get paid somewhere, one of these teams that are trying to protect their young quarterbacks, like the Jaguars, who Trevor Lawrence needs help. Trevor Lawrence needs help, and Orlando Brown protecting his blind side would be huge for them. Also, him going to play with the Dolphins as well. He wouldn't see if he played left tackle, though. He wouldn't be a blindside blocker for the Dolphins as Tua is a left-handed quarterback, but still going to play for one of these teams. I mean, you have a lot of young quarterbacks out there. Hey, maybe Joe Burrow. I mean, bring him with the Bengals. Bengals have a lot of cap space for because a lot of their star players are on their rookie contract. They have a lot of money to work with and could bring in Orlando Brown as well. I believe the most possible situation for him to go to would be going back to the Chiefs, though, because the Chiefs would be dumb to let Orlando Brown go for how great of a season he had. On top of that, we have Mike Williams. Like I said, this wide receiver class is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that Mike Williams is, we got Mike Williams on this list. We got Davante Adams coming in hit free agency. Allen Robinson didn't even make the list. That guy's going to hit free agency. Chris Godwin. I mean, there's a lot of big name wide receivers that are hitting free agency that are going to get paid. And one of those players are Mike Williams, who's coming off of a tremendous season. Now, I don't think the Chargers are going to let Mike Williams go. It wouldn't be smart. The connection between Justin Herbert and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, like this was elite the last 2 seasons. And you should bring back Mike Williams. If I was the Chargers, I would bring back Mike Williams to be on your offense. On top of that, there is a lot of teams that are looking for wide receivers right now. Obviously, the Bears. I mean, Allen Robinson, we know, is not going to go back to the Bears. Justin Fields needs someone to work with. And Mike Williams would be a perfect fit for the Bears. On top of that, Raiders, now we know what happened with the Raiders. I mean, they're in desperate need. They're in desperate need of a wide receiver right now, especially with Derek Carr. Why would you not want to play with Derek Carr? He throws one of the best deep balls in football, and he throws a fastball as well. I believe if you're a wide receiver hitting free agency right now, you should want to go play in Vegas, and that is a tough conference as well to play in, but you should want to go play in Vegas with Derek Carr as your quarterback because he's a very underrated quarterback, and he throws a beautiful deep ball for Mike Williams if he wanted to go play there. Another player is Chandler Jones. Now, Chandler Jones, linebacker for the Cardinals now, stud, absolute stud when it comes to rushing the passer. I mean, he can go wherever he wants to go, and I believe he should go to one of these defense-heavy teams and be their number 1 pass rusher, like the Cleveland Browns. Could you imagine if Chandler Jones went to play for the Cleveland Browns? That is my number 1 pick for them right now. Because if he went there and go play with Myles Garrett, maybe they keep Jadeveon Clowney on top of that. I mean, that is a stud of a pass rushing team. And the Browns are one of those teams where they can make a run. They can make a run in the playoffs with the right defense because their defense is already great. Just continue to add to that defense in this free agency, and they'll make a run for a potential Super Bowl, maybe Super Bowl run. Now, we've been talking about this for the Browns. Let's not forget, it is the Browns and it is Baker Mayfield, but still, defense can definitely win you your division when you play in the AFC North. Oh, but they do have the Bengals in that division as well. That's a tough division, actually. But Chandler Jones going to the Browns would be a perfect situation. Obviously, him staying with the Cardinals is another spot. I don't believe the Cardinals are going to do what they can to keep Chandler Jones, though. I believe they're going to try to keep their money to keep these players on offense and extend their contracts. I believe Kyler Murray set for a contract extension. Or else they can pick up his 5th-year option, one of the two. And then DeAndre Hopkins should be set for a contract as well. But you also have teams like the Colts, who are another defense-heavy team that could use Chandler Jones and could bring them onto their team. I love the idea of Chandler Jones going to the Cleveland Browns, though. That is my number 1 spot. That would be so fun to watch. That Browns defense would be so fun to watch with Chandler Jones. Not only Chandler Jones, but another edge rusher, linebacker, one of the top in the NFL, Von Miller, is going to hit free agency. So Von Miller just won a Super Bowl with the Rams, his 2nd Super Bowl in his Hall of Fame career so far, and it can go really wherever he wants to go. Just like Chandler Jones, I want to see. I put the wrong one. I realized I have an error here. So that's Von Miller. I would like Von Miller to go to the same teams, though. Browns, Cardinals, Colts. Go to one of these pass-heavy teams, these pass-rushing teams that could definitely help them out on the defensive side of the ball. I just want Browns to get Chandler Jones or Von Miller. That would be such a good addition to their defense. I realize I have a typo here, though. And then on top of that, the top corner in this upcoming free agency class, J.C. Jackson. Just a tremendous, outstanding season J.C. Jackson just had. I mean, an absolute monster on the defense. And he shouldn't want to go play for anybody else but Bill Belichick. Let's not forget, when you're a defensive player and you leave the Bill Belichick scheme, you're not going to look as good with whatever team you go play for. Look at Stephon Gilmore. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, it doesn't matter who he plays for next year. It doesn't matter who he plays for now. He'll never have as good of a season as he did when he was with the Patriots. If you're J.C. Jackson, you should want to stay with Bill Belichick and that defense. Because the only reason why J.C. Jackson is a household name is because of Bill Belichick. Belichick took him in free agency, turned him into a superstar. I believe he had the 2nd most interceptions his last season behind Trevon Diggs, who had a ridiculous amount of 11 interceptions Trevon Diggs had or something like that. But yeah, J.C. Jackson should want to stay with that Patriots defense because that is Bill Belichick defense and you should not want to leave. If he does leave, he can go get paid somewhere. Like the Cardinals. Cardinals are a win-now team who need help on the secondary. They bring in a player like JC Jackson to play on their secondary. They could definitely compete in the NFC West. That is a tough NFC West now, and right now we have no idea what's going to happen with that Cardinals team because they're a little they're a little risky right now. We don't know about that Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray situation like we used to think that they were the best head coach quarterback relationship. Seems to be some tension now, and I don't believe it'd be smart for you to go there if you're trying to ring chase. So I would stay away from the Cardinals right now, but he could go to play somewhere like the Eagles, who can easily take control of the NFC East, depending on how Jalen Hurts looks and their entire offense looks going forward. I mean, Jalen Rager is not looking good. He's Jalen Rager is good at one thing, and that's dropping passes. I'm so happy they drafted him instead of Justin Jefferson because, oh man, I would hate to have Rager on my team if they took Rager instead. And then next up, we have Chris Godwin. Now, I've talked about this wide receiver class. I mean, this is ridiculous. And this is why I've said on the show before that the Vikings, there's no way we're going to trade away Adam Thielen. It's just not going to happen. Because anybody looking for a wide receiver can just sign someone in free agency like Chris Godwin, like Davante Adams, who we're going to have, and like multiple other big name players entering free agency, these big name wide receivers entering free agency. This might be one of the best in the last decade and just a ridiculous class. But Chris Godwin can go really wherever he wants to. There's a lot of teams out there that have young quarterbacks who should put their quarterback in the right situation to succeed. One of those teams are the Miami Dolphins right now, who Tua, they say Tua is their guy for the future. Now, he was their, what was it, fifth overall draft pick. So I believe there's no question that they're going to stick with Tua in the 2022 season and hopefully longer than that. But if they want him to succeed, they have to bring in a big name wide receiver like Chris Godwin or really anybody else. So the thing is, yes, I understand that their wide receiver core is solid right now. It's not bad. But if you want to put Tua in the right situation, you got to continue to bring in players like Chris Godwin who are excellent route runners and excellent after the catch. This is a perfect situation for him to go. If not, he can go to play somewhere like the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Colts is another spot who really need a receiver right now. They desperately need a receiver if they want to compete. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's old. He's an aging player. I mean, he's not going to last much longer. He gets injured just about every year. They need someone to come in and take that wide receiver one role over him. Pittman is mostly just a wide receiver too right now, and yes, he's amazing after the catch. Don't get me wrong; he's a great route runner and amazing after the catch. But bringing in a player like Chris Godwin can take their wide receiver one role, and they'd make a good receiving duo right there. But again, he'll likely go back to the Buccaneers. It's the most likely situation because they just lost Antonio Brown. They might lose. Gronk will probably not return. He'll probably just retire. Gronk will go up and retire. If Brady is actually gone, Gronk will just go up and retire, and they'll bring in a new quarterback to play with them. And maybe we could see Godwin and Mike Evans return, one of the best receiving duos in football. Next, Terron Armstead. Okay, this is interesting. Terron Armstead, 100%, no question, is going to hit free agency. The Saints do not have the money to bring him back, and this might be the first time we see him hit free agency ever. I don't believe I've ever talked about Terron Armstead hitting free agency, who's been one of the best left tackles in football the last decade. He's going to go somewhere very special. Terron Armstead can go anywhere he wants and make a buttload of money because there's a ton of teams who are looking for a huge left tackle who can protect their franchise guy, protect who they want to be their franchise guy. Who better than the Bengals? Who right now, the Bengals were one of the worst offensive lines this last year, which is why it's mind-blowing that they made it to the Super Bowl. Now, it's not Jonah Williams' fault. Jonah Williams is a solid left tackle. He's an above average left tackle, and he can stay playing at left tackle, but they need everybody else. Left guard, right guard, center. They need a new right tackle as well because Riley Reef was injured basically this entire season. They had this Prince guy step out, and didn't go well with this Prince guy either. So bringing in a player, an already established veteran star like Terron Armstead, who can step in on your offensive line, throw him at left guard, throw him at right tackle, throw him at left tackle, and move Jonah Williams. Really, whatever you want. That Bengals team has so much salary cap to the point where they just coming off of a Super Bowl run, and next year they're going to be an even better team. Watch out for the Cincinnati Bengals because if they just beef up that offensive line, they're going to be good for time to come, and they need new corners as well. So they have a lot of money to work with. They can bring in Carlton Davis and Terron Armstead and J.C. Jackson. They can bring in all three of those players and make a Super Bowl run next year out of it. Some young star players, and they're going to make some big signings, and that's where players want to go right now in order to ring chase is the Cincinnati Bengals because they're going to be good for time to come. I would cut off an arm and a leg to be in the situation that the Bengals are in right now. Yes, you just lost a Super Bowl. It feels bad, but you are in such a good position. Terran Armstead would be a stud on the offensive line. You could also see him go somewhere like the Jaguars, who they need. Lawrence needs more help at quarterback, and then Tua needs more help with the Dolphins. You also have the Jets, who definitely need to beef up that offensive line for Zach Wilson. There's a lot of teams out there who drafted quarterback top 5 and did not put their quarterback in a good situation. Like the Jets did, like the Jaguars did, like the Dolphins did. They took a quarterback and just put him in an awful situation, and now they're playing behind a bad offensive line and not a whole bunch of playmakers at wide receiver. So it would be good to see Terran Armstead go for one of these younger teams who have a young quarterback and are looking to quickly rebuild, and they already have their franchise guy, like the Jaguars, who, yes, Trevor Lawrence had an awful rookie season, but he's still gonna they're still gonna attempt for him to be their franchise guy. Let's not forget the fact that Drew Brees had an awful rookie season and made a Hall of Fame career out of it. I mean, look at Peyton Manning. He had an awful rookie season, Hall of Famer, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You can't completely judge quarterbacks off of the rookie season because they don't yet know the playbook. They're not used to the offensive scheme yet. They have to adapt, which is why seeing as great of a season as Justin Herbert had his rookie year, I mean, hats off to Justin Herbert. Typically, quarterbacks in the rookie season you don't see play all that great, and people will say the same about Mac Jones. It's not the same with Mac Jones. Okay, that's Mac Jones' one job: hand the ball off and let your running backs win you the game and win the game through defense. And then the number one player hitting this free agency market, Davante Adams, the best receiver in football. I hate to say that because I'm a huge Vikings fan. I hate to say Davante Adams the best, but he is. I'll give credit where credit is due. Let the Davante Adams sweepstakes begin. Okay, there are so many teams right now who need a star like Davante Adams to come play on their team. I don't believe the Packers will bring Davante Adams back on their team. They might franchise tag him. Even if the Packers franchise tag Davante Adams, I still believe he's going to get traded because I don't believe he wants to stick with an organization that's going through a slight rebuild right now. If Aaron Rodgers is gone, why should Davante Adams want to stay with that team? So I believe Davante Adams should try free agency out. Go out there and see what teams are going to, because teams will give up so much for him, and see what teams will try to get him. Number one, Davante Adams should want to play with the Raiders. If you are a wide receiver like Davante Adams, or like Chris Godwin, or like Allen Robinson, or like Mike Williams hitting free agency, you should want to play with Derek Carr. Because I'm going to be completely honest, Derek Carr might be the most underrated quarterback. That man throws a very beautiful deep ball and throws hard, and he can hit you on full stride as well. Yes, he might not be the best under pressure. He needs to be in the right situation. I understand those things with Derek Carr, but at the end of the day, put in the right situation, you want to play for Derek Carr because he will hit you on full stride, and Davante Adams can make plays. Davante Adams will make Derek Carr look so much better. And just thinking about that offense, look at it right now. I mean, Davante Adams is going to get so many targets. He's going to get a ridiculous amount of targets, and that's exactly where you would want to play if you're Davante Adams. If not, you can get money wherever you want to go. Davante Adams should be the top paid wide receiver, and I believe he will be wherever he goes, whether that's Jaguars, who have a bunch of money. I mean, Dolphins have a lot of money and can pay him. The Colts have a lot of money and can pay him. These are a lot of teams that will make Davante Adams the top paid wide receiver in football because he deserves it. Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are going to leave our division. I mean, I don't remember the last time I've seen our team not have or I've seen the Packers not have a Hall of Fame quarterback on their team. I mean, this just excites me so much. This offseason is so exciting for us Vikings fans.